And we're off, folks. Back with the next episode of the Irrelevants. Seth, what's been going on, dude?
I've been working. I've been brewing. I've been shooting guns.
Nice.
I've been living the redneck lifestyle.
Hell yeah,
you know? Yeah, it's how it's been going. This might be an interesting little tidbit. I'm really trying to find this obscure Swedish turn of the century semi-automatic shotgun.
Ooh, what's it called?
I'm gonna butcher this, and I apologize to none of our Swedish viewers since we don't have any. It's called a Sjögren.
Oh, is that the one that uses inertia to reload?
Yeah, the Sjögren inertia.
Yeah.
And it seems like the entire chamber moves back instead of just the bolt, which is so
it's like
fucking
it's sliding
weird.
on a rail or something. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I tried so hard to find this thing that I was Googling. I found it eventually by Googling the words Sjögren inertia for sale in Swedish, and I found it. I finally fucking found it. The auction ends on, I think it's like May 8th or something like that.
What's it going for so far?
222 euros. Which
That's not bad.
Real money is like, so keep in mind, and real money is about $260.
That's amazing.
It's expected to go up to about like $400, which is still a steal.
Is there an import tax, or is it already here?
It's in Sweden still.
Okay.
And it's going to cost me 3,000 krona to get it over here, which in real money is $360.
Okay, so
and that's not including FFL fees or shipping itself. That's just the administrative fees.
Oh, yikes. So we're looking at like 800 plus.
I'm trying to save up 1,500. I'm willing to pay that much for this gun. You cannot find this thing
it's dope,
anywhere.
Though, dude.
It is a cool
no
ass
one
gun.
would have anything like it no matter where you go.
Yeah, no, Evan will be like, what the fuck is that thing? Why do you have that?
Wasn't that one in Battlefield 1?
It was one of the ones in Battle. And that's actually how I found it. I was thinking about getting the 1900 because it's a cheap gun. But also it's side by side, which isn't great for what I use it for, which is skeet shooting. So I started looking at some of the other ones in there because I thought they were aesthetically pleasing. And I kind of came down between the A5, which is way cheaper and way more readily available, the Remington A5.
Nice.
And it's a good-looking gun. But I got a friend who's got the Model 11, which is almost identical to it. I don't want to feel like I'm copying him. So it's just like, okay, time for a very obscure Swedish gun.
Dude, yeah, getting like an old World War I or World War II bolt action, I could definitely find that as my first gun. That'd be tight.
Oh, dude, those are World War II is so cheap.
Yeah, I like that.
So cheap.
How much do you think a Lee Enfield goes for?
Enfields are going to be more expensive. Enfields in grands, but I'd say that's I can look it up in a second. I'd say probably about $600 is where you're going for, which is not bad. That's
reasonable.
That's reasonable. Mosin Nagant, I think they sell for about $200 now.
Okay.
The ones that the Russians used.
Yeah. Because I know you used to be able to buy like crates just full of bulk Mosins from back in the day.
Yeah, they would cost like $75.
Yeah.
Yeah, the prices have gone up steadily, and currently prices for guns are at like an all-time high in the U.S.
I heard there might be a boost in ammunition production, so things might not be too ridiculous, but definitely more than they were 5 years ago.
Ammunition currently is fucking insane, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's so expensive. Yeah, it's like you go out for a day of shooting and you're like, oh wow, I spent like $50 to shoot for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And you already own the gun.
Yeah,
you know?
Even bringing your own stuff, it's like, this is getting expensive. I came up with something when I was in the bathroom. I was thinking about Austin Powers. I came up with the question, what are some of the funniest movies that wouldn't fly in today's era?
Like movies that, not concepts for movies, but movies that actually existed already.
You can even go off concept.
Well, I mean, just in terms of ones that already...
Off concept, She's the Man. You ever... No. Joanna Man is what it was called. You ever see that? See that movie?
No.
I forgot who the actor was, but the entire premise is that this guy, for whatever reason, has to play women's basketball. So he dresses up as a woman, and it's just something that would not fly in today's era.
I know nobody can see my facial expression, but
it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
That would not work.
Dude, or White Chicks. Would that movie fly? I don't like it's
maybe.
Yeah.
It would definitely get some sort of controversy about it.
Someone would be mad.
Yeah, somebody would
Just-
be. Granted, that's just sort of like, that's like the law of Twitter. Somebody will be mad.
That's just, dude, what a wasteland. That's just a given.
I don't understand the appeal of Twitter. I don't know what you do on there.
Dude, I don't use social media whatsoever.
The only one I have is Reddit.
There's no point. I mean, yeah, Reddit's cool because you can engage in specific communities, but if I'm gonna, I don't know, if I'm gonna have a conversation with someone, I'd just rather text them. You know, I don't need to splay my mind out for all of the internet to see. It's like,
I mean, I just
seems
don't,
like a bad idea.
I just don't have an ego big enough to facilitate that.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
You realize the irony of the fact that we have a podcast and we're talking about this.
That's true. That's true.
By the way, folks, we're spewing out our opinions all over the internet.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something very narcissistic with especially Twitter post, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, you're really just gonna say something and you expect anyone to care? I mean, call me crazy. That just sounds ridiculous.
I mean, we don't expect anyone to care, hence the name of the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing with the podcast is this isn't conversation we wouldn't have otherwise.
No, we're literally just recording us hanging out.
That's literally it. It's like, we had all these great conversations before, and we're like, we might as well just put this on tape.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Yeah, this is all we do. So
Yeah, I feel like that's a much better way to go about things. I don't know. There's good podcasts that have like a specific point to them, you know, like Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's sort of like there's a spectrum between complete disorganization and very rigid. Granted, I don't think I've ever found anything that was very rigid and structural.
Maybe like an NPR podcast.
Oh yeah, that would be that. But that's just the news.
Yeah, it's just journalism. It's
yeah,
like,
I mean, I guess that counts as a podcast. But by that same logic, I mean, how far away would like Fox be from a podcast? You know,
that's a good point. I mean, Tim Pool's podcast is just his episodes from the day.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, just all stringed together into one.
That's a lazy podcast.
I mean, if you are at work all day and you don't have time to watch the video,
actually, that's true.
You can catch up on all the news on your way back home. You know, so there's a market for it. You know,
yeah, that sort of just makes me think of like, you know, when I can't watch a game, I'll catch it on the radio if I'm like driving or something.
Oh yeah,
you know, it's sort of the equivalent to that. I guess news on the radio is already a thing. I just don't care.
Dude, like baseball commentary over the radio has been around for like 100 years now, just solid.
Yeah, and they do a good job of it. You know, you understand pretty much like you were watching. Football is kind of harder than that because
it's a lot to explain in the time you have given to explain it.
Yeah, and then like baseball, it's like, oh, he hit the ball. Didn't hit the ball, you know, and there's a couple different ways you could not hit the ball. But
dude, why do people watch golf? Like, real talk, why do people watch golf?
Depression, self-loathing.
It's strange to me. It's like there's not much going on there.
I could play golf.
I can appreciate how nice the drone shots are over the course, but that's not worth watching TV for.
I mean, I could play golf and, you know, be entertained by it. I couldn't watch somebody else golf because it's not particularly fun.
What would be weirder, watching golf on TV or going to the course to watch it in person?
Because there aren't stadiums either. It's just you stand there.
You're just standing with no shade,
which also
just in the middle of a grass field.
I can't think of any other sport like that.
Yeah.
That's the only one.
It's odd to me.
Yeah. No, it's very weird.
Like, if you heard Tiger Woods was in town, would you go watch him hit the ball?
No, but I might.
And then walk like half a mile and then hit it again?
You think he walks? He gets in a golf cart.
That is the most ridiculous
The miniature
part.
car named for the sport that he plays. It is a sport where you don't have to walk.
Yeah. I mean, so is NASCAR.
Okay, yeah, but it's racing. It's different. Like the whole thing is being in the car.
Yeah. I don't know. Golf is a weird one to me. I'm not a golfer, to be honest. I'm not really a golfer. I've gone mini golfing. It's fun when you're hammered with your boys at Ocean City, but
or if you're a kid and
Oh yeah, dude.
Life is boring anyway.
Dude, what's your favorite like little trick piece of a mini golf course? I love the loop-de-loop because you can just whack it and it really sticks to the side and just goes for it. It's nice.
I'm trying to think.
Dude, the challenge at the end where you got to get into the hole and there's all those areas where it can fall off and you won't get your ball back. But if you hit the hole, you get the ball back.
If you hit your ball, that's a pretty low bar. Sorry.
You ever seen one of those though?
No, I've never seen that before. That's why I was kind of looking at you confused.
Yeah, the mini golf place, maybe like 5-10 miles up the street from my house. They have this last obstacle where if you get the ball into the hole, it's been a while since I went there. It's either you get the ball back and you can play again or something like that. There's some prize to be made at the end.
Oh, okay.
Of course, most people just whack it and totally miss, but
because it's
cool.
mini golf. Who takes mini golf?
Yeah, I was more interested in the batting cage there. It's like a batting cage mini golf kind of place, you know.
Okay.
Dude, batting cages are fun.
I've never actually been in a batting cage.
Oh, dude, it's fun.
Even though I watch baseball, I have never played baseball. I made a wooden bat just because I like to work with wood.
On a lathe?
Yeah.
Like, dude, lathes are so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so fun how you can just leave it there and it just becomes a new shape. I love that shit.
It's just spinning and you introduce like a single fingernail and just the whole thing starts to shred. It's so tight, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of like adult Play-Dohs.
It is.
It's like you added an element of danger to playing with Play-Doh.
Dude, that's something I really want when I have my own house and everything. I want like a wood shop. Just place to make things, you know, any ridiculous idea that comes across my mind, just cook it up real quick.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Dude, metal casting, that's so dope. It's so dope.
You would need some expensive equipment for. I mean, like, I don't disagree. Dope. But you would need some expensive equipment because I work in a factory that does metal casting.
Oh yeah,
that shit is not easy.
Dude, I saw this last night. I saw this new automated induction kind of melting thing they're using for scrap. And it looked really cool.
Huh.
I was like, next time I buy an aluminum factory, I might just use this. It's like, I was impressed.
Yeah. Okay. The thing that, I know this is a Simpsons episode. I just don't watch The Simpsons, so I don't know which one because that's just what The Simpsons is to our culture. There's this one Simpsons episode where Bart like gets like a factory just so he can skateboard in it.
Nice.
And when I'm walking around my factory, the factory I work in. I wish I owned it. I always think like, man, if I had a longboard right now, I could get places so much faster.
Dude, abandoned factory. Honestly,
there was a kid around here.
It would be tight to buy one to just make it into a skate park.
There was actually a kid who was doing that in one of the because there's a lot of abandoned factories in Ellicott City.
Yeah.
There was a kid who was doing that, and it was there for like it'd been there since like the 80s or 70s or something.
Whoa.
But the kid like fell through some hole or something and died. They
No.
tore down the whole factory. There's just like a flat plane where the factory used to be now.
Yikes.
It's weird as shit.
Damn, yeah. Dude, here's a question I asked our friend Ted, maybe last week or whatever. I asked him, why do blacksmiths, both in entertainment media and in real life, always tend to have really long beards?
I think it's like considered to be a masculine profession. And
it
that
is.
Just sort of expresses that.
But it's also a major workplace hazard when you're standing over hot fire all day.
Yeah, because it also has grease in it, which is
it's like, look,
very flammable.
I get you're going for the whole dwarven armorsmith aesthetic, but you don't need to burn your face off to do it. You still look cool just being jacked and hitting metal all day.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't need the beard.
Yeah.
It's just, they're just trying to look as masculine as possible, you know?
Yeah, it's like you couldn't do that working at Subway, but I guess you can when you stand over an open fire all day.
Well, working at Subway, I imagine you have to wear like a reverse hairnet.
Oh, yeah.
A beard net.
Dude. There's got to be some hipster towns out west that have just beard hair nets for the employees of Starbucks.
Like in Portland, they give, you know, when you start working there, they give you one, even if you're a woman, because, you know, they don't want to sue.
Dude, Portland. Oh, man.
The city that had how many days if it was of continuous riots?
It was like 100 straight. Just throwing fires and like Molotovs and stuff at the police station.
Yeah, and they were like shining lights in the police officers' eyes.
That is the most white privilege I've ever seen. People,
Yeah.
people who
Yeah.
think they can kick cop cars and just harass police and they think they'll get away with it. That's privilege beyond all belief, dude. That's insane to me.
Well, I'm just saying, if you went to Baltimore and you did that, I don't care what race you are, you're going.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not even going to jail because the jails are full up. You're getting your ass whooped. They're just beating you there in the street, and you know who's going to say something about it? No one.
Assuming there's any officers left, man. You hear there's been like just massive shortages of officers all across the U.S., right?
Well, I mean, you also heard about what happened in Baltimore, where any nonviolent crime is decriminalized, including selling drugs.
Oh yeah, and prostitution.
Yeah, because it's nonviolent.
You know what's really funny? I wrote this down for the notes for the episode. That's exact. I can't spoil anything.
Okay.
Okay, Seth, did you know that Pluto is only 1/6 the mass of our moon?
It's still a planet.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
A sixth the mass of our moon.
I guess the moon's a planet.
That's it's tiny, dude. It's so tiny.
I have an irrational emotional attachment to the moon.
Why?
Or to to Pluto. I guess I also have an attachment to the moon. Why? Because when I was a kid, I learned an acronym that I can't remember anymore.
The switch happened in 2006. That's when Pluto was first declared not a planet.
And I remember it. I was 8? You were you're 1 year my senior?
Yeah, so it'd be like
9,
maybe 10 at the time.
Yeah. So it's like, I still learned that Pluto was a planet, and when they disqualified it, I was like, oh, but it was the tiny little planet. It was
I feel
cute.
like the first scientist to come out with that was in 2006, but it didn't really pick up speed until like 2008 or 9.
Well, there was some scientific council that officially did, because it didn't clear its neighborhood was the issue. Yeah. Which is like, it's not a planet, but like it's a planet,
Dude, what do you think of Planet X?
It's not real.
I don't know. There's a lot of space out there. I guess it depends on what determines something to be a planet, Because if Pluto isn't a planet, probably no Planet X.
Do you know about the original name suggestion for Neptune?
What was it?
And I could be getting this wrong. I remember what it was. The original suggested name was Herschel. Imagine if there was just like
Planet Herschel
that just had a dude's name.
Yeah.
And then somebody else suggested George after George, I think the 5th.
The planets kind of do have just a dude's name.
Yeah, but
Pluto or Saturn or Neptune.
Well, okay, they're mythological
gods. It's a name of antiquity.
They're mythological gods.
Imagine a planet named Timmy.
Well, one of the other suggestions for Neptune was George.
Oh my god!
After one of the kings, but still George. It's like we have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, George, Pluto.
What a weird naming system.
Yeah. Because it's better than Uranus.
Yeah, it's also better than planets that have just like numbers.
Well, yeah, but that's because we don't really give that much of a shit about them other than recording. Like, a thing that I've always thought about, and then, like I said, every podcast this comes up, a thing that I've always hated about, like, Star Wars naming practices is how they'll be like, it's certain planet 3. It's like nobody would ever want to be from that planet.
Yeah.
No one would number their planet. I would never be like, oh, I live on Earth 2.
Yeah. Wasn't Yavin 4 the forest moon of Endor?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah, and Endor was a gas giant, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's why they lived on the moons and not on the planet.
They'd be a little hard to live on the planet in that case.
You couldn't stand on it, you couldn't breathe, and you'd be crushed instantly.
Dude, I heard this really interesting thing about colonizing Venus. How there's actually, in between the super thick toxic gas and the super irradiated high altitude, there's like a nice Goldilocks zone where our atmosphere, the mix that we have on Earth, is just enough to keep a ship afloat.
Yeah, so I've heard about this too.
And you could breathe the floating material.
But it's like an airship.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It'd be like Bespin. It'd be Cloud City.
Yeah. I've heard like people talking about like theoretical like steampunk cities, because you could also technically, with enough time pumping in enough gas, you could make the atmosphere of Venus livable. And I mean, more livable than you could make Mars, because Mars
Oh.
is significantly smaller than Earth.
Dude, to change an atmosphere that's already there versus to produce an entirely new one, it's relatively easy.
And also, I
Yeah.
think you'd be like 60% of your current weight on Mars because it's so much smaller than us. Whereas
Yeah.
Venus is almost exact. I mean, I think you'd be a little bit lighter on Venus, but not really noticeably. So it's just like
Dude,
long
there's-
jump competitions.
There's
Wouldn't
some
be fair.
good scientific predictions that Venus, not too long ago, was rather Earth-like. But what we see is a result of runaway greenhouse gas effects, not unlike what we're doing to the Earth right now.
Yeah, I mean that
If you
seems
keep building up methane and all that other stuff, you end up with a Venus.
so. I'm not trying to sugarcoat global warming, but sort of a silver lining is: have you heard about how there's actually like a North Sea passage now?
Yeah, dude, that's huge. You know what that?
That's
you know,
kind of awesome.
Like when I heard that, like for someone who thinks about geopolitics a lot, that's excellent for Russia. That means Russia doesn't have to invade some European nations in order to get the paths and trade routes that it wants.
And I mean, same thing for Canada.
Yeah.
Canada is now relevant. You know?
Not that Canada was ever going to invade the U.S. to get its trade routes going, but yeah.
No, but it's like now it's like there's a reason to go to Canada.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, other than to mock
To mock
society.
Canadians.
You know, it's like, haha, you don't vote for your senators. You know, like
Yeah, you got Prime Minister Blackface, who's just still there.
Yeah.
Is no one going to do anything about that?
He won
As a
re-election.
black man, I take offense to this. You re-elected
Listen.
Prime Minister Blackface, and you have the gall to call us racist? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
or the SNC Lavalin scandal.
What's that?
Oh, you didn't hear about that?
Hmm.
It's a bit complicated, but basically there was this construction company from Quebec, which is Justin Trudeau's like home province.
Yeah.
And so this construction company got into a sort of a international corruption scandal because they had supposedly been bribing Libyan officials, and they'd done this multiple places in multiple third world countries, and they had actually bought Muammar Gaddafi's son prostitutes.
Oh, I did hear about this.
to get
Oh, yeah.
developing rights in that, or to develop things that they're a developer.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to go up on charges about it, but Justin Trudeau eventually forced his attorney general to resign because she wouldn't have the charges dropped.
Yikes.
And there was a big scandal about that, but he got reelected. I mean,
what's
there's some nuance to the scandal, but
what's with that? The scandals happen in Canada a lot more often than our media likes to portray it, but nothing ever happens. Like ever. like, what's changed?
I don't know. I feel like our media likes to think that like Canada is this utopia to the north of us.
Yeah.
Which is like, no, Canada's its own place with its own problems. I mean, it's very much like America. It's probably like the most indistinguishable two countries in the world.
You remember a couple of years ago when the Canadian government came out and they were like, guys, this is crazy, but we've been committing genocide against the Indigenous people of Canada for centuries now.
Yeah.
It's like,
you didn't know?
You didn't know and you didn't do anything? And now you're just going to say it and act like that makes you the good guy?
I don't know, but they'll put some symbols for them on their flags and shit, so it makes up for it. Like we knew for a while, we just decided not to do anything about it a while ago. You know? We were just like, yeah, sucks.
Yeah. It's like, oh man.
We came to the more practical solution. That's so cruel to say. I'm sorry.
Canada is like a strange place. Have you ever been to Canada?
I have. I think twice. I was young, but I've been there.
Yeah, I've been to Ontario. That's about it.
That's the only part of Canada anymore. There's no point. I actually have I have family that lives up in BC.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never gone up there to visit them.
Dude, why not? It's kind of beautiful out there.
I've heard it's absolutely gorgeous.
Summer's coming up.
I've just never been that close with them because they live in BC. They actually live on Vancouver Island, which is supposed to be gorgeous.
Yeah. What are you doing?
And when my cousin comes down, who's like a year older than me, her and I get along like fabulously. But I just haven't seen her since freshman year of college.
Yikes.
Yeah, because she lives in BC.
Yeah.
She actually moved to the States for like 2 months and then went back. I guess she was feeling like homesick or something.
Oh, where'd she go to? Out of curiosity.
Oh no, she moved here. She was living with my aunt.
Oh, like out here.
Yeah, she was living here.
Okay.
Because most of my family's from the Mid-Atlantic. I mean, my entire family is from the Mid-Atlantic. They all live in Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland. I guess Pennsylvania's sort of the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, it counts.
Yeah, close enough. Close enough. So, I mean, there was really nowhere else for her to go.
Sure.
And then I think she's married now. So.
Damn, yeah.
But see, I only think she's married now because not that close to her.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy.
I'm trying to do that quietly. There's no quiet way to open a Guinness.
And, you think, like, where are your third and fourth, fifth cousins? Like, how many people are you pretty closely related to that you drive past on a semi-regular basis? I mean, you just have no idea.
Isn't it, like, technically speaking, everybody is within your 50th cousin? Like, you and I are probably, like, 22nd cousins.
Is it work like an exponential problem?
Yeah, like, there's
by
it does.
50 increments, that would cover basically everyone, right?
Well, because I think you only have to go back, it's a stupid short number of generations. Like, it's like double digits number of generations before the number of ancestors that you would have exceeds what the Earth's population would have been at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Which there's an obvious explanation for why that is, because everybody is inbred. To some degree. I mean, some people are less inbred than others, but... Yeah.
Which is, that's odd. That's the biblical implication, too, with Noah and the ark, right?
Yeah.
He got off with basically just his family. And suddenly humanity repopulated.
Yeah.
I wonder who those...
Which actually happens twice in the Bible.
Yeah. The entire... Like, the whole flooding of the world is really interesting. Because that's something that occurs in multiple mythologies.
Yeah.
Not just biblical.
Yeah. I as a Christian, I wouldn't call it mythology. But...
Yeah.
I understand what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Sumerian story of Utnapishtim. Him and his wife were the only survivors of the first flood.
It's all around the Mediterranean, too. Like, I don't know if it's outside of there, but I read a lot of Mediterranean ones because the Sumerians had one. The Mycenaean Greeks had one, I think. I mean, there were a lot of people who had stories of a massive flood that sort of cleansed the earth.
Yeah, even going outside of continental Europe in the Mediterranean region, almost every civilization has a story of ancient, relatively advanced humans who get wiped out, and then a new generation comes from that.
Yeah, and I wonder, I mean, I think, especially if you were really into theology, there's a lot that you could take from that. There's a lot of ways to go with that.
As someone who's into theology and aliens, I have this
awesome
theory, dude.
Oh, no. Okay, go for it, Cameron.
Okay. So, like I was saying earlier, Venus used to have Earth-like an Earth-like environment, right? Okay, so what if humanity is alien to Earth? It started off on Venus, a planet not dissimilar from Earth. We, like we're doing right now, end up with a bunch of greenhouse gases running out of control. Maybe some other disasters happen, nukes or something like that would mess with the atmosphere. The few survivors who are left hop on a colony ship, an ark, if you will, and they come to a new land to seed it with life.
I think it'll be a great short story.
Isn't that a fun story?
It is. It's absolutely a fun story.
I have no scientific basis for it.
No, because I'm pretty sure we would have figured that one out already if it were true.
Yeah, that's what Ted always tells me, that.
Yeah.
You'd probably be able to find some kind of fossil record that disagrees with that. It's probably. It's fun.
It is a fun story.
I think it's a fun story.
It's cool. if you wrote like
I would love to see that as a God, who's the guy who did 2012 and The Day After Tomorrow? A Roland Emmerich movie.
Oh, okay.
The guy who does all the disaster ones. Oh, yeah. He can make a Noah's Ark where they come from Venus in a spaceship.
Also, I'd read that in like a Ray Bradbury-esque novel.
Yeah, make a fun short story.
Like just fun, like because he always did like the shorter ones. You know? That'd be kind of good.
Yeah, it's one short, a sci-fi short story with this weird biblical twist. I think that'd be pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I'm glad that you didn't go like the ancient aliens direction.
No.
Where you were like, how did these ancient people do this? It's like they worked for a long time. Like that's how they did it.
It's impressive though. Like to put together the pyramids when they did, that's impressive.
But we know exactly how they did it, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it wasn't fucking impressive. Someone basically worked their entire lifetime to get that built.
Oh yeah.
And then they got a nice little house next to it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like people are under the impression that it was mostly slaves who made the pyramids.
A minority of them were slaves.
Yeah,
An extreme
minority
minority.
was.
Yeah.
It was mostly farmers who volunteered because they thought it was like taking part in the Super Bowl.
Well,
It's the most important thing in society, and it's happening yearly on a yearly basis. And you're like, hey, I'm gonna go down and help out with that.
And you also got fed like fabulously well. You could drink beer. They got lots of bread. They were one of the few people in Egyptian society eating meat.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, it was actually, and it wasn't just like people who were unskilled laborers. It was mostly skilled laborers.
Yeah.
There were like,
I mean, you'd need to be cutting bricks that precisely. You know?
There were like metallurgists. There were masons. There were all types of people there who were just they knew what they were doing, and they were compensated well for it.
Yeah, because you got to remember, in Egyptian civilization, you take it all with you. Like the reason the pyramids were made and were so lavish is because that's what a king should have in the next life.
Yeah, or essentially what they thought was a demigod.
Yeah,
yeah. And like the weird way that they do art in ancient Egypt.
Go ahead, go into it.
Well, I mean, you've seen the artwork before.
Yeah, yeah.
Where it's always you're looking at the person from the front, where you can see both arms and both legs, but you can also see their hands sprawled out, and you can see their feet, which are turned to the side, and their heads are always turned to the side like it's a profile, even though their bodies are looking straight at you.
That is odd.
Do you know why?
No, why is that?
It's because, and I don't know how long they believed this in ancient Egypt, but there was a belief that depictions of you would be what you would look like in the next life. So if you showed somebody from an angle where they only had one leg and one arm, well, then you would only have one leg and one arm. If you showed them their face, like you didn't show their face from the side, then they wouldn't have a nose, or they wouldn't, there'd be some sort of issue if you didn't depict it exactly the way that it was supposed to be.
Oh, that's weird.
That's why their feet are always turned, so it's obvious that they have feet.
Yeah, that is. I wonder what the art classification for that would be. What would you call that?
There's art historians have some name for it.
Yeah,
because there was also when Akhenaten rose to power.
Oh yeah,
who was the first and last Atenist. And you start to see artwork that differentiates from that. It focuses on realism more. You see perspective in the artwork for the first time.
Yeah, dude.
And then, Tutankhamun rises to power after him, and that goes away.
Dude, it's you always hear that weird fact that Cleopatra lived closer to the invention of the iPhone than she did from the building of the Great Pyramids at Giza.
Yeah, the one that we always think of, which is Cleopatra the Ninth.
Yeah, and it's like, when people think of pharaohs and pharaohesses, whatever the female term is, why do people go to Cleopatra? She wasn't Egyptian.
She was Ptolemaic.
Yeah, it's like, is that really the best example of an Egyptian queen we can get?
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
What about
Oh, actually, here's staying on the Ptolemaic dynasty.
Who was Ramses' sister?
I don't know.
Because when Ramses came to power, he was only like 5 years old, something like that. So for the longest time, his sister was like co-queen with him. I forgot her name, but she seems like a pretty important figure, more than Cleopatra.
Interesting thing. Do you know what the so this is Ptolemaic Egypt. Do you know what the Rosetta Stone says?
I might have heard it back in the day, but remind me.
It is the pharaoh giving special privileges to a royal cult. It's essentially ancient tax paperwork.
That's the stuff that sticks around. Like, as far as cuneiform and Sumerian texts that we have, the vast majority are people's tax returns.
It's just administrative shit. Yeah.
Like their entire counting and number system, at least for the Sumerians, most of it was around the portions of food, the portions of grain that you need to produce so much beer.
Yeah, and I also saw it was like which actually there's a theory that civilization started because of beer.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, honestly.
Yeah, it's like, why would you stop eating more, eating better food and living longer.
To get hammered.
It's like, why did they start growing grains all of a sudden? So
Yeah.
there's a lot, and then you can see in ancient civilizations they had a lot of beer.
Like grain,
and they liked beer.
It's kind of incredible how mathematically the grain works, It's like you can get very specific measurements for specific effects, and you can store it in such a way that you can build an entire math system around it. It's interesting.
Yeah,
Really interesting.
It's very cool. But I know one of the things with ancient Mesopotamian cuneiform is that a lot of it was just like receipts.
Yeah.
It's just receipts from one vendor to another.
Yeah. You know where we don't see a lot of receipts, interestingly enough, is with the British. Because for the longest time, up until like the 1700s maybe, like people's tax returns or their taxes were counted on sticks that were split in half and then had a certain amount of notches in them.
Oh, I think I've heard about this, yeah.
So when was it the gunpowder plot when Buckingham Palace burnt down originally?
Well, no. You're talking about
when did that
you're
happen?
talking about the Houses of Parliament burnt down. That wasn't the gunpowder plot. That was unrelated.
Yeah, when did the Houses of Parliament burn down?
The Great Fire of London.
When that happened, all of those historical tax records were lost. So even though that made up the vast majority of ancient text at the time, it was all lost in the fire.
Yeah, I know that's why there's like a measure of different imperial units in Trafalgar Square.
Yeah.
Is because they were all destroyed in the Great Fire of London.
Yeah, dude, so much history lost to what was an accident. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what the building looked like before.
Honestly, that's something I wondered when I heard that too. What did the Houses of Parliament look like prior?
Okay, the gunpowder plot. Do you know how that was foiled?
I used to know. Go ahead.
Guy Fawkes, the guy that they all wear the mask of.
Yeah.
He had a brother-in-law who was in Parliament, and he wrote to him warning him about it. That's how it was foiled.
His brother's the biggest snitch of all time.
It's like, could have just not showed up, my dude,
Yeah.
Maybe his brother was Protestant,
Oh, yeah. That's crazy, dude.
Or were they Protestants killing Catholics? I can't remember. I think they were Catholics killing Protestants. I don't know.
By then, I think it would have been Anglican Protestants versus Catholics.
Yeah, well, it would have been. I think it was a Protestant king in power though at the time, but I could be wrong. I'm not entirely because they wanted to kill the king, but it could have been a Catholic king in power.
That being said, who doesn't? That's kind of the point of being king. Everyone wants to go for you.
Yeah. Everyone wants to kill them. I mean, does anyone want to kill the crown prince of Saudi Arabia?
I'm sure a lot of Shia militias.
Oh yeah. And there's a lot of Shia minorities in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, man, it is. The Middle East is just a mess.
Well, it's a miniature Cold War between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
many proxy fronts to it.
Yeah, it's basically, do you believe in pan-Arab nationalism, which the Iranians can't because they're not Arabs?
Yeah.
Or do you believe in Islamism?
Yeah.
Which the Shias could, but they have the Saudis could, but they have a large Shia minority.
Yeah, they had they have a lot of Sunnis in Saudi Arabia, but
Shias.
No, there's.
I thought you were talking about the minority. Yeah,
there's a significant minority, but the branch of Sunnism, Wahhabism, that's where you get into a lot of issues.
Yeah, but the Crown Prince is trying to roll back a lot of the Wahhabist policies.
Yeah, the new Crown Prince is doing pretty good.
Yeah, I can't remember the acronym they use for his name. It's like BDG or something like that.
Yeah.
Mohammed bin MBG? Mohammed bin Saul? Or something like that?
Maybe.
Yeah, I know his first name is Mohammed, but so is everybody.
You remember in 2013 when women got the right to drive in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I remember when Queen Elizabeth didn't have the right to drive.
At the same time,
did.
the U.S. was legalizing gay marriage. Saudi Arabia had just given women the right to drive cars.
Yeah. They still hang people for being homosexual.
It is.
But see, they have all the juice that makes cars go.
Yeah.
So you gotta.
At least we thought they did. Now we got some pretty fat reserves.
Under the ocean, yeah.
Yeah.
We just figured out that if you just go a little bit deeper and punch the ground really hard.
there's really fracking, as much crap as fracking gets as an industry, they've made oil so cheap. Oil and natural gas so cheap.
And also,
it's made prices drop like crazy.
Isn't it less bad for the atmosphere?
It is.
Okay, hear me out here.
Like, people have a lot of misconceptions when it comes to fracking.
And hear me out here. The choice here seems to be between not hurting ocean life, which I don't want to hurt ocean life, right?
Yeah, no one really does.
Not hurting ocean life, or destroying the entire world. And it seems like if the entire world is destroyed, ocean life will be destroyed.
It's like, it's not even the world. It's like, do you want Africans to starve because Greta Thunberg says they can't use oil?
Yeah,
it's like, that's the height of privilege right there, to tell third world countries that they can't use oil because it's bad for the environment.
And also, it's a double standard because we used tons of coal and oil when we were industrializing.
That's how we got to this point.
Yeah, exactly. It's like now that we don't need it anymore, we're like, tisk tisk.
It's like it's like there's like it's like the teenage years for a country where they're starting to really come about. They're gross, they're sweaty, there's all kinds of stuff going on.
They're trying out cigarettes.
Yeah. That's the dirty industrial period for a country, as it's starting to start up.
Yeah.
But eventually you get into your better years, you're just thinking a little more clearly, thinking more long term, and you start to switch over to more renewables. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And I still think that nuclear is the way to go.
It is the only way to go.
Yeah.
It's like
this. We do not have the ability to store that much solar energy.
Yeah,
and the nuclear plants can be on all the time. You don't need to store the energy. You got too much energy, waste it.
Yeah. It's incredible to me how environmentalists in the last 10 or 15 years just have not at all been focusing on nuclear.
I mean, I find that the environmentalist movement is often very stubborn.
It's also very performative.
Yeah.
Why does John Kerry, who owns multiple private jets, tell me that I can't drive a car,
you flying your jet
car?
one time covers me for a year of driving my car, my dude.
Yeah, dude. Doesn't Al Gore own like multiple houses and multiple jets?
I believe that. I know the whole thing with Bernie Sanders owning 3 houses was kind of bullshit.
Look, when
because he had his house, he had a vacation home, and then his parents died, and he inherited the house. But it's like that's a pretty normal way to get 3 houses. My family doesn't have a vacation home, but if you're making as much money as a senator, you might have a vacation home.
That is a problem, isn't it? Senators make way too much for what very little they do for society.
I'm just saying, if I went into my job tomorrow and they were like, "Hey, Seth, you need to decide how much money you make," I would make a lot of money.
Yeah, but man, isn't that crazy? AOC goes from being a bartender to hopping into politics, and then within a month complains that she's not being paid enough. It's like, you're being paid at least double what you were before, right?
Yeah.
And that's not good enough.
At least double? At least from being a bartender?
Well, she was bartending in New York.
Yeah, but you got to think about the cost. I knew a guy who was bartending in New York, and he's now bartending down College Park. The dude lived in a fucking broom closet.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he literally lived in a broom closet.
Oh, yeah, dude, it's awful.
Yeah, it's so expensive.
Dude, in San Francisco, they have developers living like 11 people to a 2-person house. It's like, yikes.
I don't know why people want to live in urban environments.
Like, I
don't get it.
Were we talking about this before? You get like crazy rich in Kansas, and you go to San Francisco to live like a bum because you're suddenly the poorest man on the block.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just stay in Kansas and have a big house and a nice field.
Yeah. Yeah,
shoot guns in your backyard. It sounds way better than California.
Have no one bothering you. Have reasonable tax rates.
Yeah,
it's like, man.
I mean, Kansas is maybe a little low. You know, I'm fine with paying my taxes. You know, like what I hate
if you get good stuff out of it, of course. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Or just if it's helping other people. You know, my dad's almost 65. He needs Medicare. He needs Social Security.
Yeah,
if you can make the systems work without the government collapsing, I'll pay a reasonable amount of tax. Like, what I hate is that the U.S. government's like, hey, you need to guess how much tax you owe us, and if you're wrong, we'll arrest you.
It's like, yeah, that's the thing, right? You'd think the IRS, if they can track down people who haven't paid their taxes, you could also give us a clear number on what our taxes should be, right?
Most European countries just send you a bill for your taxes.
I would.
They're
much
just like, you
rather
owe this
that.
much tax. We have all the records. We kept the records. We put them in a fucking equation. Here's how much tax you owe us. Whereas in the U.S., they're like, oh, here's the equations. Figure it out. Hope you kept documents.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've heard a lot that the IRS, like when they figure out that someone has a problem with their taxes, they don't immediately write to you and tell you have a problem. They wait till that problem stacks up until they can really make bank on calling you out. And it's like, I would have paid the whole thing if I had just been told what it was.
Yeah, I'm happy to pay my taxes.
Like,
I'm not happy. I will pay my taxes. I'm like, yeah, that's a civic duty. I'll do it, you know? But then they're like, no.
It's like, just be honest. Just be honest with us.
Exactly. That's the thing that I care about. Just tell me what I owe
Dude,
you.
when I send in my taxes, I want a receipt telling me where all the money went.
That'd actually be kind of cool.
I want to know that this $52.72 went to missiles. It's like, I want to know
you want
exactly.
that specific? I thought you just meant like military.
Oh, no, I want to know specifically where the money's going.
Okay. I hope that some of mine went to that research they did on squirrels.
What was that?
It was about would a snake attack a squirrel whose tail was waving versus one that wasn't waving.
We really need a scientific experiment to figure that one out.
It was like $5 million.
Oh my God, dude.
We also spent like $50 million building a gas station in Afghanistan, which doesn't make sense. That's literally...
Oh, dude.
Do you know the phrase carrying coal to Newcastle?
Nah.
Well, it's like Newcastle produces a lot of coal.
Yeah.
And so it's considered to be like stupid.
Okay.
I think we need to update the phrase by saying building a gas station in Afghanistan. It doesn't make sense. You can just buy it from the guy who makes gas.
Yeah, they covered that in the Vice doc. This is what winning looks like.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Like the amount of palms that need to be greased in order to move a single truck full of oil all the way up to like central Afghanistan. You're paying like 5 times the price in bribes alone.
But it must be so cheap there. It's like how cheap gas is in Texas. Like gas you can still buy for like, it doesn't go over $2 in Texas.
I wish, dude. What happened?
Well, with gas, I can tell you that.
Well, yeah.
The stagflation crisis happened.
Yeah. That's just like, man, it sucks.
Yeah.
Like $2.86 for some gas when it was just maybe $2 tops like a year and a half ago.
You remember in like 2012 where it almost hit $5?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I remember.
What the fuck?
That was like even more than the housing crisis. My family stopped taking trips or vacations or anything. It was like, that's it.
Yeah.
We don't have the money to spend anymore.
And my mom works in finance, so when the financial crash happened, that was bad. That was bad.
And it's crazy. The people who legislate all this stuff, they don't suffer. In fact, when it seems like when these crashes happen, a lot of these politicians seem to know in advance, and they put money into businesses that are going to benefit from that. What's up with that? Like Kelly Loeffler, you know the chick who was running for Senate in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
She had a scandal prior to that. At the start of the coronavirus pandemic, her and a bunch of other senators, for whatever reason, just started buying up stock in biomedical firms.
Maybe they saw the writing on the wall.
With privileged information that other people didn't have.
There's a chance of that as well. Yeah.
That's kind of sus.
Well,
you
know the big, or I don't know if that's what the plot, I haven't seen The Big Short, but there's that one guy who was shorting all the mortgage firms back before the housing crash. And he didn't have privileged information. He just read the writing on the walls, warned people about it. He tried to tell them. They didn't listen. And so he's just like, oh, fuck it. I can make some money off of their ignorance, you know? So he started shorting them.
These are people in privileged positions with information that most people don't get. It's kind of sus.
Yeah, because imagine you have a top secret clearance then.
Like with when Biden came in, he made this switch where he wants like what 25-50% of all government vehicles to be electric now.
I did not know that. I do. When I say I don't follow the news, I don't follow the news.
Well, anyway, Nancy Pelosi and her family just decided to put a couple million into Tesla before it happened.
Oh, okay.
It's like, it's so obvious what's going on. There's a 2-tier justice system. There's 2 classes to society. You have the peasantry, and you have those who lead.
This is tangential. Can I talk to you about how weird I think Tesla's stock is?
Yeah, go ahead.
they never hit their sales figures. They never hit the production quotas. They miss so many marks that would be important for a stock, yet it keeps going up. There's no reason other than people expect it to keep going up.
That's it, dude.
It's just a game, and everyone's like, Elon Musk is cool. Let's keep buying his stock. He's the funny man who smoked weed on Joe Rogan.
Dude, we've really gotten to the point where a company's stock price doesn't really reflect how effective a product it is. I mean, there's
sometimes.
There's clear cut cases,
like
but
Berkshire Hathaway is obviously making money hand over fist, so their stock costs a third of $1,000,000.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. But then when it comes to speculative investments, look at media companies like Vice or BuzzFeed. People pumped billions of advertisement money into them. Now some of these companies are being sold for like 50 million tops.
Yeah,
you heard how much Tumblr sold for, right?
I was literally about to bring that up. I was literally about to bring that up, dude.
It was insane, dude. Yeah. It was insane.
And my older sister uses Tumblr a lot, and she was like proud of that. And I was like, you realize that that just means that nobody gives a shit about your opinion. I mean, I realize that Reddit is worthless too, and that's the one I use, but like, still.
Dude, they sold for hay pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, they lost so much money on that. Because Tumblr was the thing of the future back in the day.
It certainly seemed like it.
Yeah, and then it just died.
Yeah.
Because it became honestly pretty funny.
I feel like we live in a post-future. The future already happens and it sucks. Now we have to live with the aftermath of the future.
Cam addresses post-modernity on this episode of the Irrelevents NPR.
Like, think about comedy now, like funny shows. Rarely is it just a comedic situation. It is a subversion of a comedic, like think about the show Archer, right? Whereas James Bond came about in like the 1960s and 70s because it was a subversion of the office lifestyle. James Bond was this suave dude who does his job, but no one tells him how to do it. That's what was valued at the time. We get to a show like Archer, which is a subversion of the spy fantasy, which itself is a subversion of the office life. And it's like everything that's entertainment in society is commentary on commentary at this point. Where's the new ideas?
Bazinga.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a commentary. There it is. Modern comedy sucks ass. No, I mean,
like think about, I just feel like culture is stagnating hard. Where the most interesting things to watch now is commentary on stuff that has already happened. It's rough for a new original idea to come out and stick around. Like, think about all of our...
I mean, if you're still talking in terms of comedy, I see your point. I would not say that's true across the cultural board. Like, if I had to think of like a major one to discredit your point, video games. 100% video games. They're coming up with new ideas left and right.
They do, but the ones that make the most money are sequels to sequels to sequels.
That's always
sequels.
Okay. You know the rule in video games that the first game doesn't count because the first game is always going to be you're testing out the idea.
Yeah,
you know, it's that second game that matters. But I mean, you still see lots of things that's like like Cyberpunk 2077, right? Which we did for a podcast.
Yeah,
I mean, had you heard of the game Cyberpunk before the video game released? Because I hadn't heard of the tabletop game.
I hadn't heard of the tabletop game. I was familiar with the art style.
I was not. I didn't know that Cyberpunk existed.
Well, I liked Glitch Hop and a bunch of other weird musical things during school.
Okay. But they're still coming up with ideas where it's like, I wouldn't have thought of that. Yeah, like, there is some cultural advancement. I just think that when you're talking about comedy, especially with TV, you're talking about a dying media.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess maybe it extends to some video games. Because what sells the most in a year? FIFA 27? Call of Duty 19?
Yeah.
Halo 7?
Yeah.
It's like,
I spent $100 on the new Madden, which sucked ass.
I mean, there's crazy new experiences like RimWorld, games like that out there.
Yeah.
That I couldn't even dream of back when I was a kid. But what makes the most sales? Same old boring shit. Madden NFL 23? Is it 2022, 23?
It's 22 this year.
22.
Or 21 is the newest one. It'll be 22 this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you getting out of that?
Yeah.
A roster update?
Well, I got the roster update, and I got a JPEG of man who is quarterback for my football team. So
Nice.
pretty good. I could have just downloaded the JPEG for free instead of buying a worse version of Madden 20.
Yeah.
It's literally like Madden. The Madden games have been regressing since like Madden 16 was like
Dude,
the best one. They've just been regressing since
last
then.
Madden game I played was Madden 09 on the PSP. That's the
Was that
last
the one
time I
where
touched the series.
Was that the one where you could reverse?
Maybe. I don't remember.
One of them put in the stupidest mechanic where it's like one play per game with your friends. You could press X and reverse the play.
Like rewind it?
Yeah, and it would start again.
Why?
Yeah.
Because that was the selling point that year?
I guess so. Yeah.
That's it.
It was so stupid. Like there used to be a thing where you could make your own team, which I thought was lots of fun. You know, you could like upload an image and you could like design it and design the uniforms in the stadium. That doesn't exist anymore.
Dude, on like the old school Xbox and then into the 360 era, there was this whole experiment with people being able to upload their own photos. It went terribly wrong. Like there was like card games or whatever where at the end there was like some shooters where it would reveal your face when you die. Or
oh, no.
So people, everyone would just spread their asshole into the camera.
Yeah. Well, see, I want
crazy.
I want that to come back to Madden, and I want to make the San Diego unsolicited dick pics.
That's I mean, that was it back then.
Yeah, I remember when playing with people online first became a thing. It's like video game companies didn't get how bad the internet was.
My God.
Like, it's an evil place. Never give them the ability to do what they want.
Dude, the things you would hear in a Modern Warfare 2 lobby, just free speech at its best. I mean, I learned
so many N-words, and I don't think that one of the people who was saying them was black.
Dude, I learned slurs that I didn't even know existed at the time. I was like, this is incredible. You guys are poets. It's like
that's where I learned I'm just gonna say the C word.
Yeah.
Yeah. For our children listening, which actually if there are children listening, stop.
Yeah, enjoy your childhood. Don't hop into adulthood too fast.
Well, but we also brought up the words spread asshole and the San Diego unsolicited dick pics.
That was a thing. Like Bart showing his butt to adults. That used to be a sign of rebellion. Now it's just weird.
I mean, it's
weird.
It's uncomfortable. Why would it?
Like, okay,
I don't like the idea of a child exposing their...
Here's an old prank I heard on some podcast back in the day. This guy was talking about how it was at a time when everyone had watches, right? No one had smartphones. So what they would do is they would drive their car up to another car. They'd ask the gentleman for the time. He would look down at his clock. When he looks up, there is just naked ass just hanging out of the car, just mooning him straight up. And it's funny, but that would not fly in today's era.
That's one of the ones that I'm kind of happy about.
I would laugh my ass off. But it was
the pun intended there?
No. But it's like the pranks like that, you just can't get away with anymore. The innocence to the world is gone. There's no innocence to childhood. It's straight into the gross adult world.
I mean, I would say that's largely on the internet, which I know is like an old person thing to say. But I grew up watching...
it's definitely the internet.
Yeah, fucked up things on the internet, you know? Like, I saw, like, Al-Qaeda executions when I was in middle school.
Dude, I still...
Things don't faze me at this point.
I still remember the cell phone footage of Saddam Hussein being hanged.
Yeah.
It's like, it was so grainy, so terrible, but you knew it was something really bad. Now with a live leak, you get straight up murders in 1080p, 60 FPS.
Or do you remember WorldStar?
I do remember WorldStar.
WorldStar, which had nothing to do with hip hop. I don't know why that was in the name. Did it have something to do with hip hop originally?
Well, they used to promo a bunch of underground artists.
Oh, all I used to do was watch the fights.
Well, that's all. That's what it became famous for.
And when I went to when I was in high school, anytime a fight would break out, there'd be some guy with a phone yelling, "World Star!"
Exactly. But now that's just Twitter. Like, I remember when World Star opened their Twitter in like 2011. I was like, isn't this kind of redundant?
Yeah.
It kind of seemed like Twitter just became the marketplace of speech, you know?
Yeah, it was sort of doing. Yeah, World Star was to Twitter as Friendster was to Facebook.
Yeah, it's like just the way things have been funneled down, you know, there used to be so many websites. I would go to individual websites for individual things, you know. You'd go to Addicting Games just to play games.
Yeah.
You'd go to YouTube just for YouTube. Now we've whittled it down to like 10 websites across the world that everyone uses. It's like, as you know, as things become standardized, they lose that fun amateurness to them, where just any crazy thing could happen on the internet.
Yeah.
Now it's all by the same rules in the same place. It's like
it's the same thing that happened with TV back in the day, you know, where anything could have happened on TV, but then by like the 60s, a very limited number of things could happen on TV.
Yeah. Corporatization just dries out creativity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know,
standardizes everything.
Mm-hmm.
We should stop trying to standardize so much. Let people be individuals.
You have to do it you have to do it to make money.
Money sucks.
Money's pretty great.
It's only great because it allows you to be free. But wouldn't the freedom itself be better?
I don't see it as allowing me to be free. I don't think that at all. I like the stuff that it gets me.
But
like, I got a really nice new hat, you know, and money got that hat for me. You know, money is pretty great.
Imagine being born so ridiculously wealthy that you didn't ever have to worry about money. The only thing you would enjoy is the freedom to use it, right? You just wouldn't think about it as much.
Yeah, but see, Cam, I was born so incredibly middle class that all I think about is money, because that's how middle class people think.
That is the nature of the middle class.
Yeah, middle class is anxious and money obsessed.
Yeah. Is that healthy for humans? Is that a healthy way to live your life? Constantly concerned with something that's totally out of your hands in terms of value?
It's not totally out of your hands.
I'm sure when I spend $1, it has some splash on the market as a whole, but I don't know. Look at people's retirement funds just melting away. It's like, yikes. You really worked 50 years for that to be the end?
Yeah.
Yikes.
You got to keep working, though, you know? I mean, that's the sad truth of it. It's
what they say.
If that happens, wait for the markets to recover. But then, I mean,
I don't want to live my life based on the whims of the market. That sounds like a gross capitalist future I'm not interested in. And I love capitalism, but I'm not interested in living by some billionaire's playbook. Doesn't work for me.
What's your other option, Cam?
Find some island, eat coconuts, eat raw crab. I don't know.
Cam, if you do that, I'm going to buy a boat just to drive by.
I could always go to California and just be homeless there. Make the same amount of money and still be homeless.
And you'll save me the money on a boat. I was just going to say that if you do that, I'm going to come by with material possessions.
You got to come through, but you will have to step on my poop.
We'll have to step on your heroin needle, you know?
God. Dude, you seen the poop cleanup maps for San Francisco, right?
No, I have not.
There's no other color on the map but brown. It's the
Whoa,
there has not
the poop cleanup map. They chose brown.
Well, they have a little poop dot that they put down, like a little pin in the place of where a fecal sighting occurred.
If I was was it the official government that made it?
Oh yeah. In fact,
I would choose any color but brown.
They had to hire like 20 people and pay them $120,000 a year, rather than the citizens of the town just not taking shits everywhere.
I mean, for $120,000 a year. Oh, but in California, that's basically like $6 a hand job.
The way to stimulate the economy shouldn't be coming out of people's ass. Let me say that
much. Well, I mean, hey, that's sort of the labor theory of economics, you know? I put labor into it, and therefore it is valuable.
I guess. Fecal politics, or fecal economics is my favorite. Dude, I gotta show you this video called "The Worst Truck Stops in China." Have I ever showed this to you?
No, but what a weirdly specific mojo video.
Seth, you think the truck stops in the U.S. can get bad?
I have no idea.
You have not seen madness, my friend. I told you about when I was at the Forbidden Palace, the old home of the emperor, and I saw this woman take her kid out of the stroller because the kid was crying, unbutton his pants, and he just dropped a deuce in the middle of the Forbidden Palace.
What the fuck?
And I'm like, really? Really?
100 years ago, you would have lost your head for that.
I thought China was all exotic and cool. It's the health standards over there, man. It's gross.
You ever seen an Indian highway? Fucking insane, dude. It's like a game of Russian roulette. They got people just sitting on top of pickup trucks.
Dude, oh yeah.
Just and not like one or two guys on top of a truck. Like 15 guys.
I've seen
just
it,
if there's a crash, they all fucking die, and I guess they come back as a cow.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of just lawlessness in the small towns over in the east, dude.
Yeah.
Like people, like it's crazy to me, man. It's crazy to me. Like when you see China, you see footage of Shanghai and Beijing, all this high tech stuff, but the reality is so much grosser.
Which is so weird because South Korea and Japan are nothing like that.
Immaculate.
Yeah.
Sparkling.
Everything is clean.
Futuristic cities.
Everywhere.
Dude, like one of the... Is there like visual ASMR when you watch something that's very pleasing? I like watching the Japanese businessmen walk across the crosswalk, and it's just like... It's like an army practicing their march. It's so perfectly synced. It's like, that's how a smooth society could run.
Have you ever seen Lost in Translation?
Mm-mm.
It's like a Bill Murray movie with what's her name? Scarlett.
Johansson?
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson.
Okay.
Yeah. Where they're like in Japan, and but it's like it's so isolating to be in a culture that's that different from your own.
Yeah, man, you'd have to feel like all kinds of an outsider.
Yeah, it's like I can't even speak to people, and when I do, it's like if I could communicate with them, I would make so many cultural faux pas that would be unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a thing, where there's some cultures where if you even try to speak their language, you have to do it perfectly. Otherwise, people are just going to be pissed at you. I've heard that about French.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They don't like when people bumble through French sentences.
But also they don't like it when you speak to them in a language that isn't French.
Yeah.
So I don't speak French, dick.
Yeah.
Whereas in Germany, they're completely fine with that. You can speak to them in bad German. You can speak to them in English. They don't care. And it's very German to no longer be concerned with nationalist things.
Yeah. That's like, do you see that a lot in the U.S.? Do people get mad when someone speaks English poorly?
I honestly, I mean, I've never witnessed it. I've like heard stories, but it's like when somebody speaks to me like they're like I work with several people who English is not their native language, and some of them are less good at English than others, let's say. But like I still appreciate that they're making an effort to communicate with me in a language that I understand.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that a ton.
Yeah, because a lot of them, their native language is Vietnamese, and it's like if they try to, it's like your English is way better than my Vietnamese. Like I don't like all I know is Ho Chi Minh City.
Dude, my grandfather still speaks some Vietnamese.
Oh really?
Being over there during the war, yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, wasn't your grandfather in some special division?
Yeah. Oh, we'll leave it at that.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. No, not getting too personal with it.
But the Vietnamese is a very interesting language. How you can tell it stemmed from Cantonese. Like Chinese is the Latin of Eastern Asia. Like from Chinese, you get the basis for a bunch of other languages. Like if you take the characters of Chinese and the linguistic tones and whatnot of Korean, you get Japanese. It's a mixture of the two, kind of. When with Vietnamese, you can really hear those a lot of Cantonese words slightly shifted and with one extra tone. So I can hear the difference between Cantonese and Vietnamese, but I can tell Vietnamese stemmed from Cantonese.
Wait, so I thought you spoke Mandarin.
I do.
Okay, but you just sort of, it's related.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the regional dialects. And
Okay.
you can kind of see how it all stemmed from one mother language.
So like Mandarin is to Cantonese as English is to German.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, that's cool. That's neat. I guess that should have been obvious, but
I don't know. I've always had this ear for languages. I can hear a language or see a language and kind of know what I'm looking at.
okay.
Not translate it, but I have a good eye for other languages and cultures, I guess.
I mean, I can tell what Korean versus Mandarin versus Japanese look like.
So many people can't, which is crazy to me. Like there's the stereotype that all Asian people look the same. I'm like, you are out of your mind if you can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
At least between the national groups. There's so many different ethnic ones. That's a whole other issue.
Dude, there's like 52 Chinese ethnicities.
But people
That's too many.
You can't tell the difference between someone who's Japanese or someone who's Vietnamese. Really?
Yeah. It's like one is way more tan.
Yeah. It's not even racism at that point. It's just laziness.
Yeah.
It's like read a fucking book.
I mean, like, to not be racist isn't to not notice what race somebody is.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you can recognize what race somebody is and just go, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, like I recognize you're black. I don't make any assumptions based off the fact that you're black.
That's
other than your last name doesn't make sense.
That's
but we're not
like,
going to bring up your last name.
People are really out here saying color blindness is wrong. I'm like, the whole principle behind what Martin Luther King was saying, right? That to judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin, is so clear. It's so clear. How could colorblindness be a bad thing when you're only seeing someone for the person they are?
Yeah.
How is that bad? That sounds like exactly what we wanted in this country. Like, I feel like the height of race relations was like the mid-90s.
Oh, yeah, I'd say like the 80s.
You'd see people who
90s.
are black, you see people who are Asian, you see everyone in movies and TV, and it wasn't something to constantly obsess about.
And I feel like the 80s especially, because it seemed like the era of, I don't care if you're black or white, the only color I care about is green. You know?
Yeah.
The 80s was decadent, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And if you could make money, I don't give a fuck what race you are, you know? Like
it was like there was like a cultural gold rush, you know? We're like, we kind of made it. We don't need to focus on such petty differences. And now it's all everyone can focus on.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
to the point where people will reject objective truth to get whatever racial messaging they want out of a situation.
And also, like, if you look at the end of the Occupy Wall Street movement, it on the Google Trends, it lines up perfectly with when racism started to be used far more commonly.
Yeah.
So,
and
I gotta pause for 1 minute.
Okay. And we're back. We're back, folks. Okay, Seth, got one for you. My notes. I think Syria will be the next Spanish Civil War. It's been an opportunity for Russia and the U.S. to test out a whole bunch of new military weapons, just like they did in the Spanish Civil War. And depending on the outcome of the Syrian war, it's going to set a lot of precedent for the future. In terms of conflicts we're going to see.
That feels like a pretty broad thing about civil wars that have the interest of major powers.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly seems like it's setting the stage a lot like the Spanish Civil War did before World War II.
Yeah, but there's not going to be a World War III. If there is a World War III, it'll be over in a half hour. See,
the thing is, I don't foresee any nuclear exchange ever happening. But think about this: like two standard nations like the U.S. and Russia, they're not going to fire missiles at each other.
Yeah.
In terms of nuclear attacks, what you should be worried about is some rogue terrorist cell getting their hands on some depleted uranium and then stuffing it into a briefcase with a brick of C4. That's the most dangerous nuclear event you have to worry about in your life.
Yeah, but also, like, the difference in magnitude between those two things is staggering. Like, a nuclear exchange between Russia and the United States is the end of pretty much all life on Earth. Whereas,
well, the northern hemisphere is going to get wrecked, but no one's launching nukes at South America.
The weather events will kill South America.
Yeah,
I mean, just the radiation reaching South America.
It
will
depends
cause
on
everyone to get so ill.
Well, it depends on the magnitude of the exchange. Because there's like full on apocalypse where
and then there's limited exchange.
They launch just everything, or there's a limited nuclear exchange where a couple major cities get taken out, and it's enough for people to be like, we don't want to do this anymore.
This is a really stupid comment. Doesn't it kind of feel like exchange is a bit of a weird word for that? It kind of sounds like sharing is caring.
A nuclear exchange.
You know?
And yeah, we're having a nice... Come by for tea later. We're having a nice little nuclear exchange.
We'll exchange some of our nukes for some of your nukes, and then we'll both have nukes.
Yeah, it's a pretty neutral word for something that is incredibly terrifying in reality.
Like nuclear strike makes way... But they always in a serious context say exchange.
Yeah, well, with the nuclear strike... You generally expect that to be one place that's been hit.
Yeah,
like there was a nuclear strike in Atlanta,
Yeah.
But a nuclear exchange, that's just code word for doomsday.
Yeah, for everybody dies.
For nothing surviving, yeah.
I mean, I doubt there'll be a limited exchange. The Soviets were always banking on the idea of a limited exchange.
Well, the problem is that nuclear technology has gotten really, really good just within the last 20 years to the point where we have nukes with such low yield that if you weren't specifically looking to detect radiation, you visually could not tell the difference between that explosion and just a really big bomb.
And I mean, there's also the Chinese developed those supersonic missiles.
Yeah.
Which massively decreases your detection time. It's like from a half hour to 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where the cost of a nuclear exchange with the really miniaturized nuclear technology is making it so that the threshold is getting smaller and smaller. Will we ever go past that threshold? I would certainly hope not, and I don't think it's in the interest of any nation to do so. But when you're all out of conventional ammo and, backs to the wall, what are you going to do?
But that's why there hasn't been a world war in, was it 80 years now?
Yeah.
85 years? It's just not possible anymore.
Globalism has made it so that our economies are so intertwined that it'd be really bad move to do that.
We go to war with the Chinese. I mean, the Chinese just lost all their buyers, and we just lost all of our producers.
Yeah, it's not really viable for either of us. That being said, in the future, I do expect there to be exchanges between, special forces units across the world. There's going to be shadow wars that we've never heard of,
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Just as there is today, but this time it'll literally be a shadow war because they're using active camouflage technology. You seen this stuff?
I was the one who showed it to you.
It's straight up real, dude.
Yeah, it's an invisibility cloak. I mean, it pretty much
like out of Harry Potter.
Yeah,
and it works.
Yeah, it just it bends the light around you.
It's insane, dude.
Dude, it's cool. I know that I can't get my hands on it. But fuck, I would like to get my hands on it.
Dude, just with the technology we're hearing about the military, like whatever we hear that they're experimenting with now, it's probably been in the works for 20 years. So this whole technology where now instead of being issued goggles or just normal goggles to block the sand, you're going to be given a visor that acts as a augmented reality portal, essentially. Just like Google Glass.
That's cool as fuck.
You know how Google Glass works?
Yeah.
It's going to be like that. Except you're going to be able to identify friend or foe through that.
Oh,
it's going
okay.
to make... warfare is going super high tech. You ever play, what was it, Tom Clancy's Advanced Recon?
No, the only one I played
Advanced Warfighter, whatever it was back in the day.
Only one I played was Rainbow Six Siege, and I suck at that game.
Well, dude, the plot of, I think it was Advanced Warfighter, whatever it was called. The plot was that in 2014, there's a massive migrant crisis, which leads to a border wall being built with Mexico and the U.S. Special Operations running forces against cartels. This is a game that came out in 2006.
Okay.
It was, Tom Clancy, as a military writer, it's predicted a lot that's come to fruition.
Wait, so is Tom Clancy a military writer?
Yeah, he was a writer.
So he's like Sid Meier's. He's a real dude.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know if Sid Meier's is still alive, but Tom Clancy died 3 years ago.
I I don't actually know anything about Sid Meier's other than he is a real dude.
Yeah. Yeah, Tom Clancy, he wrote Splinter Cell, he wrote Advanced Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six. He's written like probably 50 books.
Oh, he was an author.
Yeah.
I think Sid Meier's was just like a dude that worked on the game.
He may have served too, but I don't know. I just know he was like a huge military author.
Okay, see, now I want to kind of look into Tom Clancy.
He wrote The Hunt for Red October, I'm pretty sure. He's written a bunch of really good military novels.
I don't know what The Hunt for Red October is.
You haven't seen the movie with, God, who's the Scottish dude? Sean Connery.
Oh, Sean Connery, yeah.
Yeah, it was him as like is either a Soviet or American. No, he was a Soviet captain. No, it's a cool movie. Hunt for Red October, like one of those classic war movies.
I'll check it out.
Dude, that's a genre that we haven't seen in a long time. The high tension submarine movie. That's not some. I haven't seen a film like that in a long time.
The only one of those. So is that what The Hunt for Red October is about?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I know there's also Das Boot.
Yeah.
I
think that takes place during World War II. This is more of a
German
Cold War,
sub,
more of a Cold War kind of thing.
Okay.
Though Das Boot is good. It's a good movie.
I've also not seen Das Boot, but I've heard that living on a submarine is terrifying.
Something about submarines is very appealing to me. I wonder what it would. I've always wanted to trip on either a spaceship or a submarine, either in the open expanse of the galaxy, or crammed as tight as possible under miles of water.
Sounds like the wrong place to do that.
Dude, imagine everything you could hear with all the echoes from the crew. It would be crazy.
Yeah, it'd be terrifying.
It'd be sweet.
Granted, I've always wanted to fly planes, so
yeah, dude.
I think that'd be great. That's like a life goal of mine is to fly. That's like pretty much the only thing if I made a bucket list that would be on there.
I got to fly a Cessna, maybe like 7-8 years back, with an instructor, of course.
Yeah, I didn't.
But it's fun, dude. It's loud. You definitely should wear some ear pro while you're out there.
Yeah, I bet.
Dude, do you follow Kentucky Ballistics on YouTube? Dude, he's a gun YouTuber. His 50 cal exploded in his face.
So how much of his face is left?
All of it. Dude,
he was fine?
He was not fine because one of the internal pieces snapped off because on the you ever seen those Serbu 50 cals, the one-shot 50 cals? Well, you put the ammo into the barrel and then you screw in some pressure cap onto it and then close it shut like a shotgun and fire. That cap is rated for like 50,000 psi. Apparently, he used some he was using slap ammunition, and it was some older round that was way too hot. Apparently, it reached pressures somewhere needed like somewhere around 80,000 psi. And that cap flew backwards, cracked his orbital, and just dude, it is a miracle he's alive. So one of the internal pieces snapped off when the cap was flying backwards, lodged itself like in his lung, causing his entire right lung to collapse, as well as slicing his neck open.
What the fuck?
Dude, crazy stuff. I gotta send you that video after.
Yeah, send it to me.
He's a cool dude, man. He does some really dope stuff, but it is a miracle he is even alive to say any of this.
Do you remember FPS Russia?
Dude, you're talking about the car when he blew up that car and the door flew at him?
No, well, yes, that was cool.
He was
fucking violent.
This close to being vivisected.
But no, I'm talking about, do you know why he stopped making videos?
Oh yeah, because came through on a drug raid.
Yeah, because he ordered an ounce of dabs off the dark web.
Yeah.
And now he's not allowed to own guns anymore.
Not smart when you live in like Georgia, Kentucky, or wherever he was.
Yeah.
I think it was Georgia. And
he had a fake Russian accent the whole time. When I was a kid, I legit believed he was Russian.
Dude, yeah, he's two personas. There's FPS Russia and there's FPS Kyle. And Kyle is just a dude with his own with the podcast PKA.
I didn't know that he had a podcast.
Yeah, Painkiller already with Woody's Gamer Tag. A bunch of old COD YouTubers. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, they get some pretty high profile internet guests on there.
Huh.
Interesting. Yeah, Kyle. It's weird to even call him that. Kyle is just a normal Southern dude.
Yeah, he just really loved guns, and then
loves guns, weed, and girls. Which I can't disagree with that.
I don't like weed, but switch out weed for beer.
Yeah, dude. That's when he. What I was talking about with the car door is he shot tannerite inside of a vehicle, and the vehicle totally went up, and the door, dude. You can if you slow down the footage, you can see the door come off the vehicle, start tumbling at him at like 1 billion miles an hour. And he is, I'm not even kidding. He is 8 inches away from being vivisected by this door flying towards him.
8?
It is within a foot. Yeah.
He's got to have shoulders longer than 8 inches.
Dude, he was so close.
Wow.
I think he didn't exactly stop doing the crazy stuff after that until the arrest, but that apparently, according to him, that was a big change in his life. It's like, I got to be a little more careful.
Yeah, it's sort of like one of those, oh wait, shit, I'm not invincible moments.
Yeah. Yeah, that and the 50 cal exploding in your hands is about as bad as it could be.
Yeah, like there's that one guy we know who shall remain unnamed for the sake of his privacy. And I feel like you might already know where I'm going with this, but who put a 45 in a clamp and then took a hammer and a nail and set it off and can't feel the middle third of his leg.
Yeah.
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 That's fucking crazy.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah, he still can't feel the middle third of his leg to this day because he cut a nerve.
Bad idea. Yeah.
I knew the guy in high school. He was full of bad ideas. He was a good guy, but...
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I've only ever gone shooting maybe 3-4 times in my life.
You got to come out trap shooting with me sometime, man.
Where do you go out here?
I go to PG Trap and Skeet. It's great. They have these like sports skeet things where I loaned my card out to a friend recently, but I can grab it back because it's my card. And you buy clays for it. I think the clays cost for it's like enough to do each stand 4 times. There's 20 stands.
Okay.
So whatever the math is there, because I don't care to do it. I'm going to do it. 160 rounds. It costs $20, and then you can buy 2 rounds or 2 boxes of ammunition, which is 50 rounds in total.
Okay.
For $40. So you go out there, and you can spend like pretty much all day, like 4 hours, just walking around skeet shooting.
Nice.
Back and forth, and no one watches you. There's no like instructors or anything. They assume you know how to shoot a shotgun, which I do. I've been shooting since I was pretty young. So you just sort of, you shoot all day. It's a lot of fucking fun.
Yeah,
we should go out sometime. I got a 870.
Dude, nice.
Yeah, and it's so fun to shoot all day, man.
Then shotguns would be new for me. I've only ever shot rifles and pistols before.
When they ask you, have you ever shot a shotgun before? What I need you to say is yes.
All right.
I will show you how to shoot a shotgun. It's not difficult. It's kind of like every other gun. It's kind of like any other gun.
Dude, there was this argument in the 90s that playing video games turned you into a serial killer, right? That if you play Doom, you're going to end up like Eric and Dylan, and you're going to shoot up your school.
That's why I've killed so many people.
But I will say, in terms of learning how to operate firearms, some video games aren't that far off. If you, in a pinch, had to learn how to reload some weapons, some of them not that far off.
They don't teach you very good weapon maintenance, though.
No.
They teach you really shit weapon maintenance.
Actually, Far Cry 2 did a really good job with weapon maintenance.
Oh, did they?
You do need to take care of your guns. Because the last thing you want is to be in the middle of the African bush when your FAL jams. And you're like, oh, no.
See, that's why you got to take care of your guns, folks.
Oh, no. Dude, they had like 3, I think it was 3 or 4 different jam states to the gun. And by the 4th jam state, if you don't run some kind of repairs or stuff on your weapon, it will explode in your hands.
That will actually happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, every time I go shooting,
not fun.
Every time I go shooting, I clean my barrels afterwards. And then every third time,
Well, you don't want that residue to sit. That's
exactly, and it
bad
gets
for the
so much harder to
rifling.
clean. Yeah, it's like later that day I go ahead and clean it.
Yeah.
And then every third time I clean it internally.
Nice.
So I clean the chamber and everything.
Yeah.
So it's, take care of your guns and they'll last you a long time.
Yeah, man. What do you think? Because you got to pay all kinds of tax stamps and stuff over here. What do you think a fully auto AK cost in Somalia if you were to convert to American currency? How much do you think it would cost you?
A bullet.
As much as you paid for a bullet now in America, yeah.
No, I mean, like, just go up to the dealer.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Bam. It's Somalia. Do what you want.
I've always been wondered what prices are like in war zones. How much does it really cost to get an AK in the middle of Iraq?
Think about how difficult those supply chains have to be. There's going to be a lot of costs accrued just by how expensive it was to get the weapon to you.
Yeah, but some of them, you can find Lee Enfields in Afghanistan that have been there since World War II.
That's true, but do you want to fire that thing? Because
you're taking a risk.
How well has that thing been maintained?
Yeah.
In the desert sands for 100 years.
Have you ever seen the Afghan? I think it's called a Jazeel. They were these massive, massive homemade rifles.
Yes.
You ever seen those?
Yes, I have.
They're kind of beautiful.
They are actually gorgeous.
Each
they
one
do so much like tribal artwork on them.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Dude, so I know this is a weird comparison, but in Star Wars, the Sand People have the gaffy sticks. The stick they beat Luke over the head with when they knock him out?
Yeah, it's okay. Sand People in Star Wars.
I didn't want to draw the comparison.
I'm just saying. I mean, listen, I didn't make Sand People, okay? George Lucas is the Islamophobe here, okay? Not me.
I don't think he's an Islamophobe.
No, I don't. No, that's just...
He grew up in, I think, Sonoma, California. To totally rich parents. He's just this is a dude who has no real world interactions with anyone else.
And Star Wars.
So yeah. But anyways, the Sand People, the Tusken Raiders, each of their gaffy sticks, their weapons it's all custom made, and each one has its own inscription and history to it. Oh. The Afghan Jazeel is a lot like that, where each gun you can tell by the markings on it who the owner was, what conflicts they brought this to. And it's insane, dude. You'll have a weapon from the 1800s still in use in 2021, and it's working absolutely fine.
They really do take good care of it, then.
Dude, they take good care because these are this is passed down from father to son.
Okay, so it's like a heritage thing. It's like you're going to take care of this gun.
Yeah. It's like a knight receiving his father's sword.
It's like I know if I got my father's guns, which he may or may not have, I would take good care of them, you know?
Yeah. So it's very interesting. Man, in the Khyber Pass, have you seen some of the replica AKs they make in the Khyber Pass?
No, I have not.
Dude, some of them are only single shot and you got to pull the bolt every time.
You have to pull the bolt on an AK?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, but the recreations, it's some of them almost look like if a child were to draw an AK. Like a gun drawing I would have had in my middle school notebook. It looks so janky, but somehow they put it together and it works for them.
See, if I worked in the legal department of Armalite,
you'd have a field day
going to the Khyber Pass, being like, well, actually, that's a copyright infringement.
Jesus, yeah.
So I'm gonna have to serve you now, and then they kill me.
Dude, I hope there's a day within our lifetimes where you could go on vacation to Afghanistan, because it's a beautiful nation, man.
I've seen pictures of it. It's gorgeous.
There's some really beautiful history there. It's just an area that's been locked in conflict for 300 years.
I mean,
straight,
actually,
almost.
before the Soviets invaded, it was a fairly stable. I mean, it wasn't great.
Yeah,
but it was stable. That's why I always say dictatorship is preferable to anarchy.
For a lot of people it is.
I mean, I'd say because
at least someone's telling the hospital to work.
Exactly.
Someone's telling the food to come in. Yeah.
Or it's not even that. It's it's just that it's not. Someone's not going to show up at my property and shoot me dead. That's what makes it superior.
Yeah.
There is a police force. There is a military.
Yeah.
Whereas the current Afghanistan and Iraq are getting better, which is good. Which is great.
Yeah.
But Libya, look at Libya now. It's a 3-way civil war.
Dude, the slave trade is back in Libya.
Yeah.
If you ever wondered how much a human being costs, it's about $430.
That's a really
for an entire human life.
That'd be a steal on a gun.
Yeah, but they're flipping people for that in Libya right now.
That's so
how
fucked up.
How bad the civil war's gotten there.
Yeah, it's like that. Muammar Gaddafi was preferable to that. Muammar Gaddafi wasn't good. He was preferable to that.
Not good man, but much better than the alternative.
Yeah. It's like Saddam Hussein. It's like, oh, wow, you tore down Saddam Hussein. What's your fucking plan? Like, because you realize that Saddam Hussein was clearly an intelligent man.
Yeah.
Like, he managed to make a coalition of just the right people, grease the right hands to keep Iraq together.
Dude,
which is a feat.
Iraq in 2000, and I think in the year 2000, had the 5th largest military in the world.
Yeah, they tried to go toe-to-toe with us in symmetrical warfare. It did not work.
No.
Even remotely.
God. Oh, God, no.
It's like, yeah, but you're still a Middle Eastern army. You have no organizational structure to what goes on.
I watched a video on the Bradley IFV a couple days ago, and for the 2,000 Bradleys that were sent over during the initial invasion, something like 20 were taken out. Of that, only 3 had casualties. It's like we were faced with like 60,000 BMP 9s and they're using the old T-85, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the tank was, the old Soviet tank.
Yeah, the one that couldn't aim down.
Bro, they couldn't get a shot off. It's one of the swiftest military victories I can think of in history.
Well, it's because it's like you've corrupted the worst part of your government, which is your military.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
It's like that's the worst part of your government to become corrupt, you know?
Dude, that's what really holds back these Arab militaries is that there's so much conflict on the inside. You know, there's battles for influence when there's battles with the enemy that need to be fought.
It's like the same thing that happened with the Japanese Imperial military. You know?
Man.
It's when you go up against a military that is not corrupt in any way, that is entirely based on merit, which I'd say that the U.S. military, in terms of the U.S., is the closest thing to that.
Yeah,
you know, you're just fucked. I mean, you really just are.
That's part of why we were able to defeat Saddam so easily in the opening engagements.
Yeah,
because our army was only volunteers.
Yeah,
it was only people who wanted to be there.
And his army would retreat so quickly. They would take minimal losses and retreat.
Yeah, some of them crumbled before they ever engaged.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because is it really worth it to go toe to toe with the Americans in their full power?
They have missiles from the sky that you can't even see.
Yeah, dude.
Like, it's terrifying.
And it's that terror. We talk about Islamic terror against Americans. How often do we talk about American terror against the rest of the world? The fact that you can hear just a slight buzz in the air no matter where you are in the world, and the Hellfire missile will take you and your family out.
Yeah, it's like there's 1.2 drones per Yemeni citizen.
Yeah, that's kind of terrorism.
Yeah,
using fear to influence political change in countries.
Yeah, no, I mean, do you know about how many we bombed several weddings? Which one wedding was too many. Several
weddings, hospitals.
We bombed a children's hospital.
Yeah, I'm hip, dude. I'm hip.
It's like this old meme that was on sort of like right around 2015. It's now like a 6-year-old meme, which is weird to think about. But it was always something that at the punchline was encouraging you to Google Obama 90%. It was when we saw one that said, "Did you know that Barack Obama donated 90% of the income he made while in the White House?" Seriously, Google it. Google Obama 90%. And when you Google Obama 90%, what comes up is 90% of the people killed in Obama-era drone strikes were civilians.
Yeah, dude. It's something like 2,500 people just extrajudicially killed. Just on a whim.
Yeah, I understand why they hate us.
Barry signed his name off on the paper, and suddenly someone and their kids and their wife just disappeared.
Yeah, I would hate us too.
Yeah.
Did you just call Barack Obama Barry?
Yeah.
That's fire. I'm stealing that. It's like if you called Bill Clinton Billy.
Yeah. Dude, should a president be doing that?
No. I'm a libertarian. You know my opinion. No.
Yeah. Like, if I became president, my number one concern is sorting out the economy and healthcare for the Americans at home.
Yes, 100%.
That comes before any extrajudicial killings.
I don't care about the fucking Middle East. It was a mess before. It'll be a mess after me.
Dude, the Sykes-Picot set the Middle East on a path that cannot be averted.
But in fairness, the British and French did give them very nice straight lines.
They are pretty lines.
They are nice and straight.
I'll give them that.
I mean, completely ignored the ethnic divisions and
70 years of civil war, but the borders never looked better.
It's like, that country is Jordan. I know that. I can tell because no other country looks like Jordan.
The Transjordanian expanse. Like that was such an interesting term, Transjordan. What was regular Jordan before?
Yeah.
That? It means it's changing from Jordan to
Transjordan? What was there a smaller Jordan before?
There's a Jordan, a Transjordan, and then something has to come after, otherwise that doesn't make any sense.
Greater Jordan? That's when Jordan...
Oh, that actually... Yeah, that would make sense with the kingship they put in place.
Actually, yeah, Greater Jordan. Yeah.
I could very well see that being a British province.
I mean, they already call it Great Britain.
Yeah.
Granted, Great Britain's called Great Britain because it's the largest of the British Isles.
What do you think was the best era for naming conventions when it comes to imperialist powers?
Oh, so when it comes to like location.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of loved obviously a lot of other problems with this era, but the Scramble for Africa, where the British just gave things random fucking names.
The Brits did a good job with some of their names.
Yeah, Rhodesia,
Siam. That kicks ass.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of awesome.
Also, Rhodesia is so fun to say. Rhodesia.
Yeah, dude. Swaziland.
Now it's Lesotho.
Now it's Eswatini, right?
Yeah, Eswatini.
Yeah.
Oh, you hear about what the Czechs want to be called now?
No.
I think it's either Chechi or Chechia.
Oh yeah, I think you did mention this.
Yeah. They it's sort of like a mixed thing among the population, but it's like you don't call it the Federal Republic of Germany or the French Republic. You just call it France and Germany. And they're like, yeah, why does everyone call it the Czech Republic?
Just to differentiate you from every other Balkan state no one knows the name of.
But the Czechs aren't even Balkan.
Yeah.
They're not Balkan. They're nowhere near the Balkans. It doesn't make sense.
That is odd.
Yeah, and we associate with them with the Balkans. They're not on the Balkan Peninsula.
No.
They're north of Austria.
Yeah.
They're next to Germany.
Yeah. That is an odd naming convention. Yeah, what did the I'm blanking on what the French called Vietnam. What was that?
French Indochina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
French West Africa?
I mean, it's super disrespectful to everyone who's not Chinese, but
Indian China.
That's so perfect for the time.
It's so imperial. We can't be bothered to learn what you're called. But
you're somewhere between this and this.
We know that India's around and China's around, so you're Indian Chinese.
Yeah, it's kind of the most imperialist name I can possibly think of.
Not to mention that include Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia.
Yeah.
All three of them. They were just like, yeah, that's one country.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I don't give a shit.
And we're surprised there's so much border conflict to this very day.
Yeah, the French and the British did fucking all of it.
To be fair, what else did they know at the time? Their empires were mostly successful. When they took a place, they cut it the way they wanted it, and they named it what they wanted.
Well, they really cut it around the resources.
Yeah, but yeah.
I mean, it was
yikes.
It was an imperialist ventures existed basically off the old mercantilist idea. It's like gather as many resources as possible to make the most money as possible.
Yeah.
Which then America came along, which was the capitalist idea, which is like, why don't you just pay them for their stuff?
Imagine that.
Yeah. It's like, what if we gave them money in exchange for things?
Which is bold. It's bold to decide that, hey, I could just pay this guy rather than just killing him and taking his land.
I find it weird that you find that a bold decision. Every time Cam goes to the market, he goes to the grocery store and he's like, "I guess I'll pay for these apples." Very bold.
Well, if you think about the standard of empires before, you just kill and take whatever you want.
You do. Yeah.
America was kind of like, What if I gave you gold for it instead?
Yeah. What if we just
Is your life not worth more than gold?
it's like just show up and be like, hey man, you have something I want. I have something you want. Just want to,
It's a kind of libertarian approach. We come to a free agreement between two free individuals.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, it's increased the wealth of the world massively.
That being said, like when it comes to the origins of American slavery, it's not like Europeans were stomping around in the African bush finding slaves to just take. No, it was other African nations enslaving their enemies.
They went to war. They would take slaves from that war. They would sell them to the Europeans.
And
granted, they didn't realize how bad European slavery was.
Yeah, they didn't know it was something you could be born into. It was more of a prison sentence that you serve.
And also, it's like in Africa, slavery was a lot less bad.
Yeah, it was
than in America.
There was a lot of tradition around it. Like it's like it's not all that different from the concept of debt. If I say break your car or something, and I'm willing to work back the $15,000 that your car cost in exchange for you housing me, that's not a bad deal in itself.
Yeah, it's indentured servitude.
But when people can be born into that system and can't escape it, that's when you have a real problem.
Like Cam, I want to ask you this. Like, I bring up that I'm Irish more often than I should. Where is your family from? Don't name a whole continent.
New Jersey,
Florida,
I guess.
Like, there's so many people that have had like their heritage stolen from. Like, I'd be interested in you taking a DNA test just to see, like,
oh yeah,
where in Africa is your family from?
Actually, my mom's been doing a ton of
like genealogy.
Yeah, looking at Ancestry.com and stuff.
But you can't get behind what one with your last name. You're going to find a lot of people who aren't black.
Yeah.
Because you could take a DNA test. One, the Mormons will baptize you, which...
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what my dad says. He's a conspiracy theorist, but... so it might be bullshit. I don't know. But, he says, like, oh, no, it's a front for the Mormons to baptize you, and I don't want to get baptized by the Mormons. I'd love to get baptized by the Mormons. Yeah. What if they're right, Like, cool.
Whatever, yeah.
I'll go to Mormon heaven. I'll just wear the magic underwear.
It is the latest phase of Abrahamic faiths, right? You have Judaism. Out of Judaism came Christianity as well as Islam. And then out of base Christianity, you split into Catholic and Protestant.
And Orthodox.
And then out of Protestantism, you get a whole bunch of weird variants. And eventually you get to Mormonism.
Yeah.
Which is like the fourth book of the Bible. All right, you have the Talmud. You have the Bible. Then you have the Quran. Now you have the Book of Mormon. Yeah, that's your 4 Christian texts.
Really. There's some comedian that described the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, and the Book of Mormon as Jews, Return of the Jew, Revenge of the Jew, Jews in Space.
Dude, who said that? That's
I have
perfect.
No idea.
That's
I have no idea.
Good.
But Jews, Return of the Jews, Revenge of the Jews, Jews in Space.
That's actually brilliant. I'm kind of mad I didn't come up with that. That's so good.
No, but I'd be interested to see, like, what your DNA is, because you get to be baptized by the Mormons, and then we get to figure out...
Yeah, dude.
I would guess probably West Africa, because you're
probably
kind of dark, but you're not, like, Congolese dark.
Yeah.
So
yeah, probably from, like, Ghana or somewhere.
Yeah, or Nigeria or something like that,
Dude. Well, let's go get rich in Nigeria. Lagos is popping off. Lagos is going to be one of the richest towns in the Southern Hemisphere in the next 40 years.
So, what do you think about the Biafra Revolution?
What is that?
When the... what are the 3 ethnicities? The Igbo tried to break away from the rest of Nigeria and form their own country called Biafra.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it was an interesting idea. I think it would have been more successful than Nigeria.
As it stands, Nigeria has like a very Christian west and a very Muslim east.
Well, no, it's sort of like a Muslim north and a Christian south, and there's 3 major ethnic groups: the Igbo, the Yoruba, and the Hausa Fulani.
Yeah.
The Igbo are Protestant, the Yoruba are Catholic, and the Hausa Fulani are Muslim. The Hausa Fulani mainly live in the north. The Igbo live in the south east, and the Yoruba live in the southwest.
Yeah, most Nigerians I know are Igbo. A lot of them came from Lagos province.
Most people who come over here are Igbo. Yeah. And so that's what made me think about it, the Biafra Revolution. That whole area wanted to break off and create its own country, which may have been more successful.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I
guess
guess
if you look at Europe, like, who lives in France? It's the French.
Yeah. That's kind of the beauty of the French imperialist model, is that as an ethnicity, French as an ethnicity does not imply any color. Because there was a bunch of black colonies African colonies who eventually became French, and they see themselves as French to some degree, like Algerians.
But also walking around much of Africa, if you're white, you have to go up to people and tell them, I'm not French, I'm insert what you are.
Yeah.
Because because the French were brutal. The French were brutal. It's not like the English, the English were not nice, but they weren't the French,
but the French weren't, not the Dutch. Who was it? King Leopold.
The Belgians. The Belgians. The Belgians were...
That's as bad as it gets.
They were so bad that the rest of Europe was like, okay, you have to hand over the Congo now.
Yeah.
You have to actually give it to the country you control because you're horrible.
So bad.
Yeah.
So bad. The Belgianese Congo.
No. The Belgianese Congo was the one that followed it, or the Belgian Congo was the one that followed it. So, do you know about the whole thing that happened with that? At the Conference of Berlin, they gave the Congo to Leopold II of Belgium, not to Belgium, to Leopold II of Belgium.
Oh,
they gave it to the man. It was called the Congo Free State, which is like jumbo shrimp. It was not free. Oxymoronic, that's the word I was looking for. And he was just horribly cruel. And so eventually they decided, it's like, okay, Leopold, you no longer get to have the Congo because you're cruel even for the standards of the day. And they made him give it to Belgium. And that's when the Belgium Congo was better.
Marginally better, yeah.
You didn't get your hands cut off because you didn't collect enough rubber,
Dude, you ever seen those videos of like the African kids who work on the cocoa plantations tasting chocolate for the first time?
No, I've not.
They don't know what it is. They just know they harvest the nut and it goes somewhere.
That's so weird.
So the fact that they've never tried a Hershey's chocolate in their life is just crazy. You should watch the videos of them trying it for the first time.
Yeah, I've seen the stuff about like...
They're like, it's so delicious. All the suffering's worthwhile.
Oh, that's cruel.
So no one ever.
It's sort of like Nestle had to put like all of the child labor-free chocolate they had into making the Kit Kat.
Yeah, Nestle doing some sus stuff over there, dude. Not just with the chocolate, but with the water too.
Oh, dude, they straight up steal water from third world countries.
It's insane, dude.
They just straight up steal it.
This is just a company that you think about happy chocolate candies,
You heard about the thing with baby formula, right?
Oh God, no. Where's this going?
In third world countries, Nestle's would they would hand out free trials of their baby formula, like the artificial milk, and the free trials would last just long enough for mothers to stop naturally lactating.
Oh God.
Yeah, so they'd stop naturally lactating, and then they need the baby formula.
Dude, that's so devious. Like, wasn't it Johnson & Johnson who made the talcum powder that was giving a whole bunch of women cancer?
Ovarian cancer?
And
yeah.
I remember seeing talcum powder just around at the store all the time.
Is it not there anymore?
It probably still is.
I mean, I used to use it all the time for rashes because I don't have ovaries.
Yeah, yeah. But it's like... It's hindsight is 2020. That's the sum up this podcast episode.
Yeah.
Hindsight is 2020. Hindsight's 2021, I guess.
Yeah, hindsight is 2020. Actually, that's imperfect vision, but
yeah,
that's being farsighted.
It's like, yeah, there's some, try to live your life as best you can. Don't worry about things too much, but make good decisions. Don't go caving alone. Don't overpack your 50 cal rounds.
Don't watch the news.
Yeah, just stay away from all that, folks.
Yeah.
Go for a walk. Have a good time.
Yeah, go for a walk. Worry about your own shit.
Get a dog.
Yeah, listen to our podcast, please.
Yeah. And with all that said, stay safe out there, folks.
Yes, this has been another episode of what is it? The Devious Duo, the Dastardly Duo, the Dastardly Duo. I'm an idiot.
Oh man, I got to come up with a graphic for Dastardly Duo 3.
I'll help you with it, man.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I've been so busy with work.
No, it's all good, dude.
Okay.
Throw around some ideas. All right. Stay safe, folks.
Stay safe. Peace, y'all.